Welcome to this 6th citation tutorial. In this tutorial we'll finally do an IFR flight. Before we continue though, I made 2 mistakes before takeoff, so let's see if you can spot them. Also, I've made some cuts during the videos to remove some silences, so just keep that in mind while watching that this video is slightly edited. And this is going to be a whole flight, including flight planning and obviously the execution of the flight itself. In future videos, we'll talk about mostly FMS-related things like holdings, go runs, diversions, VNAV. Today we're going to focus on just doing a flight from start to finish. We are situated here in Nuremberg, and we will go to Düsseldorf. That will be about a 1-hour flight. Let's have a look at the route first of all maybe. So we are right here in Nuremberg, Echo Delta Delta November, and we will fly roughly northwest to Düsseldorf, Echo Delta Delta Lima. Okay, this is my SimBrief flight plan. It's from this point of view, historic flight plan using historic weather, because it was quite nice when I did this flight or practiced this flight earlier. This is a Lido flight plan, so that's the layout I'm going to use. And I'm going to use the SimBrief profile for the 525. As I said, we're going to fly from Nuremberg to Düsseldorf. Flight level will be 240. In SimBrief, it might be that it will suggest you a ridiculously high flight level, so make sure to check that before I actually file the flight plan about Sim or before I actually do the flight. But 240 seems fine for an hour. We need 1,900 pounds, that is, of block fuel. And final reserve plus alternate is 780, so if we only have 800 pounds left, we want to divert. The route, we will fly the Zulus 1 Charlie departure and then go via airways, so no direct, to Domox, and then it suggested the Domox 1 Alpha arrival. I'll fly the Domox 2-3 transition though, which is what you would get on VATSIM most of the time. Time, we won't worry too much about that. Passengers, I have one more passenger on board, which is the flight instructor, so that gives us an automated cargo of 55 pounds. Zero fuel weight of 6,780, so let's make that 6,800. Takeoff weight of 8,569, and a landing weight of 7,737. These are our waypoints, that's fine. This is our ICAO flight plan, and this is our weather. So current weather at Nuremberg. We have wind 170 degrees 9 knots. Visibility is more than 10 kilometers. We have light drizzle, broken 1,600, so that's our ceiling right there. Broken 2,200. Temperature 6, 2.3. QNH 1010. And this is becoming SHAR, so showers of rain. And broken 2,000 TCUs, so ceiling's going up, but we're getting TCUs. Current weather Düsseldorf, we have 160 at 11. Also more than 10 kilometers, showers in the vicinity, broken at 2,300, that's our ceiling. Few TCUs, we have 9 degrees and a dew point of 6, QNH 1002. Recent showers of rain, temporary showers of rain, so there's going to be rain. This is not really significant. Our alternate, Cologne, we have 150 at 10, SCAD at 4,100, so we have a much better ceiling there. Temperature is 8, 2.6, QNH 1004, temporary showers, and broken 2,000 TCUs, so we get TCUs in Cologne as well. And that's not really going to change in the future. Looking at significant weather right here, we have turbulence between flight level 160 and 400. Looking at winds, it's a bit against our favor the more west we go, but it's also going to be not as strong. It's going to weaken as we go west, so that's fine, I guess. And if we look at our vertical profile, that also seems reasonable. I mean, if this straight part is too short or too long, you might not be at your ideal cruise level, but that looks fine. Okay, I've written my TOLD sheet. I just have a screenshot of it here. I have the current ATIS that I got via, well, but basically the weather information I got from X-Plane. So that's 160 at 7, scared at 3,200, temperature 7, 2.1, QNH 1010. For our takeoff data, which I got from the performance menu here, we already went over that, so I'm gonna spare that. We have a V1 of 99, VR of 100, V2 of 103, VENR, which is our single engine climb speed, of 115, and VREF return in case we need to come back 101. Takeoff weight, as we already said, is correction 8,600 pounds. That will be a flaps 15 takeoff, giving us a power of 97%. Runway length required is 2,280 feet, and departing from intersection Delta, we have a look at that soon. We have 6,200 feet available, so that's more than enough. For the approach, QNH is expected to be 1003. We have a VREF of 98 knots, the approach of 105. We'll need 2,400 feet of runway, we have more than that definitely. Landing weight will be 7,700 pounds, that will be a flaps 35 landing, and in case of go around we have a power limit of 96% and 1. So that's the departure data briefed. Let's have a look at charts. So we will be right here next to this hangar. And this right there is Delta. So this is runway 10 in use. We'll depart that way. So if we look at the parking stands right here, we are at this Romeo 11 taxiway, hangar 6 or somewhere, hangar 7, I think. We'll taxi at Romeo 11, Sierra 4, Juliet, Foxtrot, and Delta to Romeo 10. We can see, if we go to the takeoff minimums chart, that for runway 10 to section Delta we have 6,200 feet available. For the departure, we are going to take the Zulus 1 Charlie departure, so this one. We have a max of 250 knots, we're not gonna exceed that, that's fine. We have to be above 1,700 here, above 6,300 for that next turn. That's gonna be fine with our climb profile, I think. And our initial climb is flight level 70. Düsseldorf we're gonna brief in flight. So that's that. Let's keep that open maybe. Flight plans briefed. We can set this to the takeoff, not the takeoff performance, I'm sorry. To the climb cruise last settings, so that we have our last settings for the climb ready. And let's go to the plane. So, let's quickly set things up here. Remove our pitot covers, engine covers. Oh, battery is still connected. We can check the fuses on the inside here. Actually open the door, which is why we didn't have sound back there in the cargo hatch. Go inside, we can also load the plane. We said we have 55 pounds of cargo. We have 2 pilots, let's give them about 150 pounds each. And we need 1,900 pounds of fuel. That gives us, well, 1,950 per side, so 957. That looks good, CG-wise. So we're loaded, we can close the door. Lock the door, and don't forget we don't have any passengers, but we still want to make sure that the cabin is secure. And we'll prepare the cockpit. So let's get the checklist out. Oxygen control valve is norm. Oxygen mask checked left side, and because we're flying with the co-pilot, checked right side. Circuit breakers we check to rear, check left, check right. Standby gyro switch tested on, and for the standby gyro we don't have the flag. Battery switch. So that's nav light, and then battery light is on. We'll check voltage, and I've made it, oops, we have the front cargo door open. I've made it a habit of only acknowledging the cautions after I've had a look at the voltage, so that's that. But let's quickly return and get the cargo hatch closed. And also use that to check that we have all the covers off. Okay, that was embarrassing. But that's what we have checks for. Okay, let's go back. So where were we? We had the battery voltage check. The avionics power switch goes on, and also the FMS goes on. ATIS clearance, we already have our ATIS. We don't need a clearance. Don't fly with ADC today. Rotary test switch. We can test. Okay, that looks good. For the battery test, before we do the battery test, we want to initialize the UNS. So that's an error that will be fixed in the next update, but we'll accept that. We'll go to the fuel page first of all. So we have we can enter the passengers and the cargo here, and then get a zero fuel weight calculated for us. Same with the alternate hold and extra. Then we get a total reserve calculated. I usually don't do that. I just have my numbers ready and put them in. So for zero fuel weight we have 6,800. So press the line select key 6,800 and enter that there. And fuel on board we said we have 1,900. And that gives us a gross weight of 8,700. If we look at our takeoff weight, we calculated 8,600. That's fine because we need approximately 100 pounds for engine start and taxi. So that's good. Let's go to the flight plan. We only have Echo Delta November here. What I usually do is I put my destination in here, so Echo Delta Lima. That will give us a message saying next leg undefined. Why is that? Because if we go to the nav page, we see we have a from leg, we have a direct to our destination, and then nothing else. So it will say, yeah, we don't have anything next to go to, which is fine. Okay, if we go back to the flight plan, then to menu and depart, we can select our SID. So first of all, we need to select our runway. That will be runway 10. And select that. We have the Zulus 1 Charlie, which is number 7. We have no transition. Go to the flight plan. We should see the thing up to Zulus. That's correct. Now let's get the flight plan up. Next we have Lima 604 to Mazek. So we click this line select key to the left of the no link, then click the list key, and then we select Airways. And then we have the Lima 604 to Mazek. So Mazek is number 9. That's selected. Entered. Now the no link is already selected for us. So next is Zulu 52 to Arpec. So we go list second line select key Zulu 52 to Arpec. Oops, click no link again. Next we have Zulu 850 Ademi. So Zulu 850 Ademi. And then Tango 854 Domox. So Tango 854 is number 3, and Domox is number 1. There we go, that's our flight plan. We can put the FMS to standby right now, so we go to the power switch to off standby, confirm standby. And now we're good to select the battery switch to emergency. If we don't do that, this FMS will not shut down correctly. So that's why I like to program the FMS before I do that. So next is battery switch to emergency, so let's do that. Battery switch to emergency, we have our N1, we have our COM1, our NAV1, our altimeter. That's fine. Back to norm, or to bed rather. Voltage is still okay. Okay, now let's go to the, let's say, the actual check file checklist, where we just check if everything's where we expect it to be. So, generators are on gen, fuel boost pumps are norm, fuel transfers off, left-hand gyro is slave, could be checked then against the compass. Parking brake set, bleed air valves off, control lock off, landing gear handle is down, lights 3 greens, no reds, anti-skid switch is on, standby gyro no flag, engine instrument warning indicators no flags, air conditioner is off, the right hand gyro is slaved and also that's looking good, throttles are off, Thrust switch is auto engine synchronizer is off. All other switches, especially this one, are off for now. So we can now, before we actually turn off external power, we can set some things. We can set the 7000 or flight level 70 that we expect for the altitude right here. We can set the we have 1100 feet, 1300 on here. We can set a transponder right here, and then we can turn avionics off. Okay, now we are ready for engine start. So before starting engine, pre-pack inspection complete. Wheel chocks removed. Cabin door is closed and locked. We have the light out. Passenger briefing is not applicable, but we'll select the pack safety switch. Seat belt harnesses, rudder pedals checked. Fuel quantity, we need 1900. We have about 2000, that's fine. Beacon light goes on. And the air conditioner recheck off. That is the before start checklist complete. We have the 6th December today, so we're going to start the even engine number 2 first. Starting number 2. And 2's alive. And 1's alive, 8%. That's one good start. Starting number 1. And 2's alive. And 1's alive, 8%. That's considered. That's 2 good starts. Okay, and let's get the avionics on. Let's get the inverter 2 and make sure the caution goes out. Inverter off again. Cancel the caution. Inverter 1 on. Caution's out. Let's activate the FMS as well. And then I like to do a little flow. I start with this panel right here, but there's nothing really we have to do right now. This panel, we have the pack safety switch already selected. Lights are good as they are. Transponder is already set. So we get on here, turn on the AC to auto. This is set. We can set flaps 15. We can set and check the trim. We can check our artificial horizon right here. On the right hand side, we can check the Takeoff switch again. And we can quickly check our flight controls, so that's our primary flight controls are incorrect, and our speed brake is working as expected. So that is that. We can awaken our FMS by just clicking a mode select key. Accept that again. Go to the nav page, and that gives us a heading of 904. We want to now select the ND, so set this to FMS. It also gives us a heading of 904, and swing the heading back around to show also 904. There we go. Now we set that to the map display, and I like to set it to 12.5 for takeoff. So this is set. We don't need the radar altitude there, alerter. For some reason we have autopilot modes enabled. We disable them. Waiting for this to initialize, and let's have a look at our speeds again. VR is 100, let's bug that right here. V2 is 103, so we want that plus 10, 113. 1, 2, 3, that's V2 plus 10 bugged. Inverter is on, so this should come on soon, I hope. Actually, let's set the vertical gyro to high. Why do you have that failure? That is a bit unexpected now. Any popped circuit breakers? Yep. I love this plane. So there we go. And there we go. Vertical gyro to normal again. Okay, So that is set. So let's do the before taxi checklist. Air conditioners, fan, temperature control set, lights set. We can actually also turn on the instrument lights. Avionics power switch is obviously on. AC inverter switch is on. Pressurization is set. Electric elevator sim set, checked. Flaps set, checked. Flight controls checked. Thrust attenuators are auto. ATIS clearance, flight management systems, and charts. Speaking of charts, what I like to do is bring up every tab, and because on Linux I don't have the Navigraph moving map, I like to bring the charts up this way. This way I get my georeference charts. So I go to airport, and I get myself on the airport here. So if it's an airport I'm not familiar with, I have a reference there. That's charts set, I assume. I mean, we briefed our taxi out already. I know this airport pretty well, so let's go to the departure chart right here. That's chart set for sure now. Takeoff data, so let's review. We have a V1 of 99, a VR of 100, V2 of 103. We have the V1 here, the V2 plus 10 marked here. We have a VENR of 115, we have return of 101. That is that. Right and altitude indicator is checked, avionics are set and checked, that's looking good. So, on the taxi, we want to check brakes, flight instruments. We already did our briefing, so let's go. So check brakes individually, left brake checked, right brake checked. And now we're going to do a 90-degree turn to this taxi lane over there. Try not to go above 10 knots on the apron, which is why I'm taxiing out a bit slowly here. Let's get some more noise cancelling going. So we're on CR4 now. Next will be a turn left onto Juliet, and then Foxtrot and right on Delta. Turning Juliet now. That's a helicopter, interesting. It's the first time I've seen a helicopter there. It's just default static traffic, but nevertheless, I mean, why is there a helicopter on a jet stand? Yeah. Alright, we're on Juliet. Next to left will be Foxtrot, and then next right, Delta. Doing single pilot operations, well technically we're dual pilot, but yeah, my co-pilot's not doing much, so I'm single pilot. Doing single pilot operations, I do not do any checklists during taxi, so even if I'm on VATSIM and I have a controller wanting me to, or giving me takeoff clearance, I'll tell them I'll have to take a minute to do my before takeoff checklist. So there's Delta coming up on the right. Also, I'm having some performance issues, so I'm running on like lower graphics settings and no auto tiles for this video. So yeah, apologies for that. Okay, parking brake and taxi lights always come as a pair. So that was our texting checklist we did. Before takeoff, anti-ice, de-ice. We have 7 degrees. We will not immediately be in the clouds, so not required for takeoff at least. Passenger seats. Let's have a look at the cabin. Looking good. Cockpit adjust knob and air source select knob are checked. Flaps are set to takeoff. Trims set to takeoff. Thrust switch is auto. Ignition can go on now. That's done to line complete. And let's assume we have takeoff clearance. That will be pitot static heat on, anti-ice, de-ice stay off, anti-collision lights on, landing recoil lights go to landing. We can also release the parking brake now. Transponder goes to alt, so all the way to the right. Radar is not implemented yet, and annunciator panel adds considered. That's how it does attenuators. So let's go. That will be a 97% takeoff with 100 knots VR. Approach path is clear. And the runway is clear. That is meters, not feet. So 1,900 meters available. We're good. So 97% takeoff, 100 VR, let's go. As we laugh. $60 knots. Rotate. Positive rate. Yeah, we forgot to select our go round mode. Let's do that right now. We are through our V2 plus 10 flaps up. Trim up. Autopilot on. Nav mode on. Vertical speed mode on. Let's go to 1,500 feet per minute. Okay, we're fine. Keeping that through 220 knots, we're ready to turn anti-ice on now. Because we are coming through some clouds, we are below 10 degrees. Waypoint coming up. Yep, that's our left turn. We want to be above 1,600. We can do that, no problem. 220 knots coming up. We want to switch to IIS mode. IS mode, 220 knots. Then we'll perch up a bit now to get back to the 220, but that's fine, a turn. Okay, and we will have the after takeoff checklist. After takeoff, landing gears up, flaps up, ignition is off, climb power is set, engine synchronizer is off for now, yaw dampers on, passenger advisory switch stays on to back through the clouds, anti-ice de-ice is on for now, landing recoil lights we can bring to recoil, pressurization is checked, that is not increasing with altitude. Oxygen control valve is on norm. And altimeters. Good point. Leveling off now. Or are we? Yeah, we are. Let's get back onto vertical speed. And back to our 97-98% takeoff power. And try to get back to our 2,200 feet. Correction, 220 knots. And to our 240, flight level 240. Turning now, so let's get our heading back synchronized. Above 10,000 we can turn off our recoil lights. Having another look at the pressurization, that's looking good. That's the altitude, that's the pressurization. Passing 10,000 temperature is 0 degrees, so we can have a look at this right here, 10,000, 0 degrees, we can go up to 97, we're a bit above that. 220 knots, let's go to IIS mode. And let's select the range to something like 25, that's more suitable right now. Going through the clouds now, I really wish I had the weather radar now. But I think above that we can release the passengers. Nice coming through the clouds here. Let's now go tech safety off. Oh, and let's go altimeter standard, totally forgot. I forgot to set the QNH actually, I'm totally sorry. I forgot to set the 1010 QNH, I just realized. So at 15,000 minus 7 degrees, 15 minus 10, we can go to 98.4, so we can go up a little bit. Hard to do with this joystick. So every 5,000 feet we get a new value for our climb setting there. So we can already see ahead of us the top level clouds right there are getting denser, right? Like this is just like a few scattered clouds. It's getting more dense over there, so we might need to take that into consideration. Like right now between like what, flight level 13 and maybe 200, we are between these cloud layers, just keep that in mind. And soon flight level 200 is coming up, and we can have another look. At minus 15 at 200, we can go to, same, 98.8. Also we can get rid of the ice right now. And then once we're at the cruise flight level, we'll have a final check with the cruise class settings then for flight level 250. It is the nearest we're gonna get. We can actually bring that up right now. That's gonna be somewhere here for 250. One thing this plane really needs is an altitude alerter, what's it called? Auditorial, auditive, like a sound for it. Because I did this flight 2 times today, and both times I didn't realize that I was about to level off at flight level 70. Okay, 2,000 feet to go. Let's have a look at these clouds. It might put us right in. We'll see. If that's the case, we'll descend to like flight level 200 or so. Okay, once we reach our cruising altitude, we'll just keep that power setting for now and let the plane accelerate. Leveling off right now, and we also want to see we have minus 25 degrees, 25, minus 25, we can go 100% if we need to. I don't think we need to, so let the plane accelerate. Maximum speed we want to go is 260. We can operate the autopilot until 263 knots and 27 something, I guess 272, 273, not more like 275 is our VNE. We might get into this. This is very close, so let's go down to flight level 220. Let's assume we have coordinated that with ATC. 220 vertical speed, 1500 will be enough. And we need to reduce power as to not go over our 263 knots for autopilot operation. In descent weather. Was a bit too much, you can see we're losing speed. Let's go to about 80% and one maybe. 1,000 to go. About 80% looks good. And at that altitude, about 95%. Should give us 260 knots. Okay, now that we have our cruise configuration, actually let's go a little bit less power. You're right on the edge there, I don't like that. We can plan for our approach. So if you look at the charts, this is the transition I want to fly. And it says we need to be below flight level 140 at Dumux. So let's actually plan that. Let's go to flight plan, find Dumux, which is right there, and give it a altitude of flight level 140. If we now go to VNAV, and it has already Dumux pre-selected because it's the only thing in our flight plan with an altitude, we can select our target V-speed, and this will be, in our case, 2,500. And then we get a glide path calculated. And it will always stick to this glide path. It doesn't care about the vertical speed target you enter there. That's only used to calculate the glide path. It will want to keep you on this glide path. So that means if you modify your speed, if you change your speed, you get a different target VS at your TOD. So just keep that in mind, don't let that confuse you. This glide path angle is set. So in 19 minutes we'll have our top of descent, and this is why I like to get up to cruise speed first before I enter that, so that I have a nicer value for that. Okay, now let us already plan the descent. So we want to be 140 at Dumux. We want to be 3,000 at this point. So we'll go maybe up to this 409 point, maybe to the 410, and then turn onto the localizer there. So 3000 is another value we need to keep in mind. Other than that, we are planning LS 23 left. That is the 1099er, which is already set here. We need a course of 230, so check the course. Let's go to heading mode real quick. Let's go to nav mode. I have already set here 230. Let's go back to FMS and nav. We need for the go around climb heading 230 until crossing 2.8 DME of our ILS, max to 20. Then turn right heading 307 until crossing radial 277 Düsseldorf. Turn right to the Düsseldorf VR climbing 4,000 feet. So we need Düsseldorf VR 115.15, which I have set on COM2. And I have the yellow needle right there set to nav2, I mean. I have the yellow needle set to nav2 as well, so that we can see the radial there. My right engine wants to keep going up. This is just a thing of my joystick. Just need to keep an eye on that. Other than that, airport elevation Düsseldorf will be, let's have a look. Düsseldorf airport elevation will be 150, make that 200 plus 2, 400 for this guy. 400 QNH we said is 1003 for the descent. We're coming into some clouds right there, so let us get the engine anti-ice on and the passenger safe. Looking down below, we might want to go below that. Yeah, it's still some time before we turn left. Let's descend maybe level 180 or something like that. So 180, that will mess up with the VNAV, of course. 180, let's cancel that for now. 180 vertical speed, let's go 2000 feet per minute. About 75% and 1 should be okay. So in order to use our speed brakes, we need to be below 85% and 2. So we cannot use our speed brakes right now. That's a thing to consider. Also, in order for our anti-ice to work, we need to be above 70%, better above 75% and 2. So that's basically the range. If we descend with speed brakes and anti-ice, we need to be between 80% or 85% and 75% of N2. Just keep that in mind. Just try to avoid this cloud layer in front of us, basically. Flight level 180 should work out nicely. For now. Speaking of which, that is 8,000 to go. And 1,000 to go, I also like to put the descent rate to 1,500 so that the level off will not be as abrupt. That of course means I need to add some power in order to keep speed. And there we're coming up 180. Speed. Should be fine once we level it off. Plane got a bit confused there. Yep, speed's fine. So let's go for the VNAV again. 2500. 16 minutes to go. Let's get back to the approach. We have a decision height of 200 feet. So I can set that there. And then I'll see you shortly before the top descent. Actually, we have some more things to do. We have our speeds for approach. That's BREF of 98, we approach of 105, so we can get the 105 going there. The 98 set here. That's 100, 1, 2. 98 set. We have in the flight plan, right now we have a no link after Domox. That's because we don't have an arrival yet. So we'll arrive on my 2-3 left as expected. This is not a star I want to fly, this is a transition. So that's ILS runway 2-3 left via the Domox 2-3 transition, number 2. If we go back to the flight plan, we'll see we have a discon there. And I'll just delete that, pressing the left blind select key, and then delete and confirm. So now see you again at the top of descent. Turning into some bad weather now seems not so easy to escape. We'll just keep this flight level right now. We'll turn on our engine anti-ice again and the pack safety switch to on. Reducing power weight as we get into this turbulent air. Don't want to go in there with our max cruise speed. We'll be in this now anyway in the descent, so doesn't make much difference. And I also want to show you the VNAV feature, so we're not going to descend right now. We're going to wait for the 9 minutes before we actually reach our top descent. And one thing you can nicely see now that I have reduced my speed, our target vertical speed keeps decreasing. It's right now at like 2,350 feet, but our approach path angle stayed the same. So 1 minute to top descent. Let's try to hit the vertical speed button. Success on first try, very nice. We want the 14,000 in the altitude pre-select window. Set. And now we're waiting for this to basically show 0 miles. And then we'll set our vertical speed to the 2,500 that we originally estimated. Or whatever value it says here. But whichever is closer, 2,400, 2,500, we'll see. Also planes in a turn now. Four minutes to go. And I've set the range here to 12.5 to see a bit better on the star. This display will soon change. Once we are close enough, once we're at like a mile or so. And then we can finally descend a bit. That's a mile. Less than a mile. We are 2,300 right now. $2,300, and there we go. Set this to 2,300. Going up to 2,400. Bring down the speed. the power, I mean, and also the speed with that. The VDEF right here is meaning we are too low right now, so actually we want to descend less in order to bring that value closer to 0. So I set the vertical speed to 2300 right now, and you can see it's decreasing, or its absolute value is decreasing at least, and we need to get rid of some more power. Now we can also select speed brakes. That will help us a bit. Okay, speed brakes off. 2200 right now. And 1000 to go, let's actually go to 1500 now. Cancel our VNAV. Let's actually look ahead. So we have this 409 waypoint will be a good candidate, I think. For the 409, let's, yeah, not do that. Let's go 3000. And let's go to VNAV, to that 409, get a message, what is it? Next VNAV flag invalid, because we have the discount in there or what? I set 14,000, we want to give some power again. Why exactly is that invalid? VNAV 2500 at 2 minutes. That's good. That's 3000. Let's pre-select that. This is horrible weather. Reduce power a bit to 90%. Speed. Using some more message. Tough descent alert, 1 minute to go. Vertical speed on. Reduce power more. Significantly more. Okay. 8 miles to go. Power is good. Send the heading back. And with this, descent segment will go below flight level 100. So just keep that in mind for light seatbelts and whatnot. Also we have a descent check, default systems, pressurization, anti-ISDIs, we have on throttles, altimeters, we know our QNH, so we expect landing, we briefed, landing data we have, and landing and recock lights, we turn recock on at flight level 100. 4 minutes to go. And there we go, 2000. We're already below, so let's go 2300. And we are in speed brake range, so let's also use them. Got a plus there. Going 2500 right now. And now we can basically use the speed brakes to manage our descent. So once we hit the +0 or close to it, we can just go speed brakes off. It did not work as expected. 2300, 2400, yeah, we need to definitely descend less. Where did that jump come from? Speed brake on. That was a very weird jump. Below 10,000. Recock lights on. And pack safety switch is already on. We have an approach checklist to do. If we have time, let's do it. Seat belt shoulder harness is checked, everything's checked, instruments checked, radar thermometer set, budget advisor switch on, seats checked, crew briefing complete, fuel transfer is off. Engine synchronizer is off. Substituting switch is auto. We need to descend more. Anti-skid switch is on. Landing lights, we have the recock lights on. Annunciator panel, this is checked, that's the speed brake. And the precipitation is set and flaps defer. We're good. Good, yeah, now we're coming off. We're coming to 1,000 above, so we don't want to overdo it. Let's go to 1,500 now. VNF should already have been cancelled. Yep. Yeah, let's go to 80% maybe. On the N1, should be good. Oh yeah, that cancelled our speed brake. Ooh, yeah, it cancelled our speed brake. Speed brake on. And swing the heading back around. Seat brake off, heading mode on. Something like 75. And now let's start to worry about the LS. So, can get ignitions on for landing. Go to nav right here, go to nav right here. Bring the map view to the LS view thing. And let us go to an intercept heading. 26 miles out, that's more than enough for this more shallow intercept speed. And that's on the approach. We did not set QNH. QNH is 1003. So I actually need to climb a bit. So we're on intercept heading, we can go landing lights on. We will leave the anti-ice on. Reduce power again to like 75. A bit below that maybe. Still pretty far out, 26 miles. Now capturing the localizer. So I can bring that around to 230. Let's go to 70 to reduce some speed. That will hopefully capture. It's turning very slow, I have to admit. Let's help the autopilot a bit. Heading. Not too much, and recapture that place for me. Let's go 65% ish. Yeah, 65 is fine. That's looking better. Look at the approach chart. Expecting 9 miles for 2D. So the approach checklist is complete. Before landing, we have ignition, landing gear, flaps, pressurization, autopilot, yaw damper, airspeed, speed brakes. Speed brakes we don't need anymore, I think. Flaps we have completely, so 0 degrees right now, completely in. We can deploy flaps below 200 knots and try and slow the plane down a bit, so that we can deploy flaps before, and gear, before being on the ILS. Let's see, let's keep it realistic, because on VATSIM we usually have faster jets behind us, so let's say we need a 180 until 5. 170 until 5. No, 180, let's say 180 until 5. Just to keep things more realistic. That's our 200 knots right now. There's the runway, very nice. Let's reduce speed below 200 now for flaps deployment. Speed below 200, flaps 15. The autopilot will not anticipate that, so we'll go crazy a bit. We have 180 until 5. Keep that in mind. So adding power. By the book, we would have gear down by this first dot right there, but because we need to keep up speed, I will defer that, and first of all see where we are speed-wise on the glide. So glide slots captured, and we are in VMC again, nice. So going down now. Let's see what we're doing speed-wise. I think we could go gear down, so gear down. Yeah, it's fine. Clear green. Speed's fine. 7 miles to go. Radio altimeter on the P50 is alive. Six miles. And then with gear down, we'll also be able to decelerate nicely. 5.5. And there's 5. Flaps 35. Thousand foot above, and we would like to be stable by now. We basically are, that's nice. Let's go for VRF plus 10. So 110 knots. In case of mist, we'll be straight in the clouds again. Speed's looking good. One last check, we have flaps, we have gear, speed brakes up. Autopilot, yaw damper still on. We'll take that off now, manual flight. Aircraft's nicely trimmed, can trim a bit down. And runways made, reducing to VRF. Take the rest visual now. And throttle to idle. Ah, come on. Bit of a long landing there. Flaps ground. You will not be able to turn off here, but the next one. So keep us rolling past this. Next one will be our turn off. And we take the right taxiway here because we have to go to the right. Making sure to stop behind the actual runway. Or behind the hot lines right there. So, parking brake set, landing lights off. Let's do the after landing flow. So that is flaps, not flaps, pitot heat off, ignition off, anti-ice off, anti-call off. The lights we already have. We can get the flaps up. Transponder to standby. And that should be it. After landing checklist, flaps ignition, pitot static landing collision, let's anti-ice, de-ice, transponder radar check. So now let us taxi to the GAT, which in the sort of is value 9 to the left, and then hotel. So we'll taxify that taxiway in front of us to the right, forgot its name. Should I quickly check? That is Mike. Taxify Mike, then left Lima 9er and right hotel. Turn off the autopilot while we're at it. Don't want to go too slow. Next to left should be Lima 9er, let's check. Yeah, it has to be. Across to the front of us is Golf. That's the exit for the GAT. Yep, that's Lima 9er. And after we go to this slight right turn, we'll see a taxi line before that Alitalia, I think. Yep, going to the right. We'll take that to the GAT. There we go, GAT to the right hotel. So let's do that. Max wingspan is no factor for us, that's fine. Car to the right is clear. And then we can be parked next to that Vision Jet there, maybe. To the right. Okay, welcome to Düsseldorf. So, the shutdown checklist, parking brake is set, the fog fan is off, air conditioner goes off. Flaps are up and will stay up, standby gyro switch goes off, standby gyro flag is there. Tax advisory switch goes off, exterior lights are fine as they are. Having part DC inverter switch, we want to turn off, completely off this says the UNS first. And then the inverter, the warning is considered, avionics off, and so it's off. Beacon lighting are off. Aircraft is now chucked. Just wait for the stair pattern to appear again, and then we can shut down. There we go. That is all off. Lights off, internal lights off, battery off. And let's get out. So, that was our IFR flight. Hope you enjoyed that full flight experience. In the next videos, we will go over VNAV a bit more in detail. We'll go over holdings with the UNS. We'll go over go-rounds and diversions. Yeah, and I'll see if there's something else that's worth talking about. So, see you in the next video.